Okay, Colin. So, when you heard the news that David Bowie had passed, how did you feel?
Stunned would be the best way to describe it. I kind of stunned, I kind of lost that you've lost, a character, somebody that couldn't be replaced. I think, in the world, whether it be acting or singing or whatever, there are characters that stand out, and he was definitely one of the biggest. And when somebody like that goes, it's a bit like John Wayne dying. Who's going to replace him? It's just, and it leaves you that kind of emptiness, leaves you kind of empty. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Of course, your band played on the same tour on that Ziggy Stardust tour back
hmm
in 1972. What are your
Yeah.
memories of? Do you have any special memories of David Bowie? I mean, what was he like in person?
Well, he was quite a genuine person, quite a caring person, very, I'd say, very meticulous about things. I always remember at sound checks, we'd be there at whatever the venue was, and they would do their sound check first, and he was very meticulous about everything that went on, you know. I remember one time, he said to Trevor Bolder, who was the bass player in the Spiders from Mars, and Trevor was like a typical bass player. He was a quiet chap, really nice bloke, but he just stood there and played, did his bit, great musician, but he just stood static. And I always remember Bowie saying to him, "Look, Trevor, when Mick and I are, Mick Ronson, the guitarist, when Mick and I are doing this, I want you to be a wee bit more animated, move across the back of the stage, because he was very much into presentation and show and how things looked as well as sounded." And so Trevor says, "Yeah, okay." So that night, Trevor did his bit. He ran from one end of the stage to the other behind, yeah. So, but when he was coming back, he ran forward, he ran across the stage one way and ran backwards the other way, if you know what I mean. But he tripped over his lead and he fell. And I always remember the next day where he says, "Trevor, just stand there, leave the front bit to Mick and I."
What kind of impact do you feel that he had on your band's career? If he did have any
Whatever.
impact?
Oh,
Hmm.
yeah, he had a big impact in the sense that he could have had anybody who wanted to support him on that tour. He came to hear us in London Polytechnic, and he really liked the band. He liked our music. He liked the way I don't know, I think he liked the way we were. Anyway, he asked us if we would come and play on the tour. We went, "Yeah, brilliant, no problem, love that." And he was very, very helpful in the sense that most acts, like top act, the main person, they tend to be like, they want everything to be perfect for themselves, obviously, because they're the main attraction. But I always remember, like, a couple of days into the tour, he was at the sound check, and he insisted that we use his equipment, his sound system, because he wanted it to sound as best that it could. But I always remember him saying to the road crew, "And listen, guys, when the JSD Band are playing, I want you to give them all the lights, the full lighting rig, because up to then the crew would just give us some spotlights enough to light the stage for people to see." But Bowie was very much like, "No, I want the JSD Band to look good, and I want the sound good." And it was, so that's not many people would go out of their way to do that. And so I thought that was a very considerate thing for an artist to do.
When you were on that tour with him, did you kind of get a sense that you were in the presence of someone who was going to become a huge star?
I always felt as if we were in the presence of somebody who was very, very arty, very talented, and, as I say, very hard-working. He was always wanting to check everything. And I remember one time Woody Woodmansey, that was the drummer in the Spiders from Mars, came up and says, David and I were talking about the sound that you get in your drums. And he was asking me to go up and tune his drums, and David Bowie came up and the three of us were there, we were tuning the drums, because he liked the sound that I got live. And he was so somebody that goes out their way to make sure every wee detail's covered, I think says a lot for the man. And he was. I never ever thought, about like, well, this guy's going to be a giant. I never thought like that, because you just take everything as it is. But you certainly knew he was special. He was special. And when you were talking to him, he had a great sense of humour. I always remember, like, Des, who was the sort of singer in our band, who is a very character. He's a great character, Des, very funny. And him and Bowie having a right good laugh, a right good belly laugh, because they were coming up with strange titles for songs. And Des was always going up to him and saying, "David, I've got a new one for you." And the two of them would just fall about laughing. So he had a great sense of humour. He was a genius. There's no doubt about it. He was a great guy.
Sorry, what do you think his main legacy will be?
Oh, I think he's got a huge legacy. The songs that he wrote, the lyrics, the melodies, the artiness of him. His character, the different personas that he assumed. The one standout thing for me when I think about him is he used to, when he was on tour, he would play Space Oddity, but he'd do it on his own. And he would be standing there with a guitar and he'd sing the song. And as he got to the end of the song, he would then he would stand on his tiptoes and lift the guitar up into the air. There was a Gibson J 200, which is a very expensive guitar, and he would hold it aloft and hold it high in the air, and then he would suddenly throw it into the audience. And that was always, when I think about him, that's the visual thing that I see. Yeah. He's got a huge legacy. He'll be missed by millions of people throughout the world.
What do you think if you could kind of pick out one thing about him that made him the huge star that he was? You mentioned his hard work, but why do you think that he became so universally kind of loved across the world?
Somehow he touched people. He's a bit like Lennon. And John Lennon did that, He'd write a song and the song would touch you. And there's not really, well, there are a lot of artists there's a lot of songs that touch people. But I think consistently Bowie did it, Lennon did it, and McCartney does it, Rod Stewart does it, Elton John does it. These are huge stars from that era, the 60s and the 70s. They're true characters and very difficult. You can't replace them, They just, they're gone. When they go, and that'll be that. But they'll leave behind a rich tapestry.
Anything else you'd like to add to the interview?
Not really, Jack. I think I don't know. I think I've waffled on. Just, it's sad. It's a sad day, but, we've still got his music to remember him by.
In the studio, we have Fiona and Rama. Very good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Now, as I say, it's a very serious subject and a subject that should be talked about because it's, well,